Hi everyone! For my video, I would like to teach you a little bit about English linguistics. Some of you may already know the basics of linguistics, but I hope that you'll learn something new as well. I chose linguistics because it's one of my favorite subjects, and teaching this helps me review what I need to know about second language acquisition and how to incorporate that into my classroom as an ESL teacher. So let's begin, and I'll do my very best to explain some of these concepts. Here are the books that I used to help make the video. The first one is Essential Linguistics by David and Yvonne Freeman. And the second one is Second Language Learning Theories by Rosamond Michelle, Florence Myles, and Emma Marsden. I never quoted either of these books verbatim, and I've cited both of these books in the APA format below this video posting, so check them out if you're interested. Okay, first of all, I'd like to give you a few definitions that will assist you in understanding what I'm talking about. In general, linguistics can be defined as the study of language, and that seems pretty broad. So we're going to talk about three other components involved in linguistics as well. And this is not an exhaustive list, but these are just a few concepts from linguistics that you'll frequently see if you study it. And all three of these things are very near and dear to my heart. So we're going to talk about language acquisition, phonology, and etymology, and how these concepts manifest themselves through linguistics. And remember that linguistics is the study of language. Okay, so first let's talk about language acquisition. There are so many different theories about how humans acquire language. Skinner and others like him believed that it was a behaviorist quality. They viewed language acquisition as a stimulus and response process. However, children, think about a child that you know, children are able to produce sentences that they've never heard before and put them into new sentences altogether. This process is called creativity. This would mean if it was just a stimulus and response if it was just a stimulus response process, that language acquisition was just imitation, and it's obviously not. Obviously. So Krashen came along and theorized that humans are born with an LAD, or a language acquisition device. He also believed that language was derived from meaningful communication. Not all theorists agreed with Krashen, and they don't view language as a general cognitive ability or a socially acquired process, but as a separate process entirely. Noam Chomsky, he's a very famous theorist, Chomsky, he created a concept known as universal grammar. You might have heard of that, because he didn't see how children could so quickly pick up on a language and implement that without having some type of innate language faculty in the brain. So, this process is very hotly debated and will probably continue to be, but if you're curious, you can look it up and see what you personally believe about how humans acquire language. But we do know for certain about SLA, second language acquisition, and first language acquisition, is that interaction is key in language learning, and this goes for second languages as well, like I said. One of the most famous theories about SLA comes from Swain's output hypothesis, which basically means that the language learner will have to produce language in order to obtain it. This hypothesis really resonates with me because when I studied Spanish in undergrad, I realized that if I wanted to actually learn the language, then I needed to speak it and produce it. And hearing and listening and reading and writing weren't going to cut it. And I'm sure many of you have had experience with that in the past with maybe second languages or even third, fourth, fifth languages, I don't know. But now that we've talked a little bit about the basics of acquisition in language, we're going to switch it up and talk about etymology. Etymology, as some of you may know, is the study of the origin of words. And this involves that we look at the history of our language and how it got here today. Language in and of itself changes in various ways. And when you think about how our current English was formed, it's pretty complex. Language can change due to geographical shifts in a certain group of people, spatially amongst those people, and over time. The only languages that aren't constantly changing are dead. So let's look up an example of the etymology of a word. I chose the word book, and I just typed this in my Google search bar, typed in etymology of the word book, and what came up was a website called Online Etymology Dictionary, and I chose this one because I have used it in the past. And this was written by Douglas Harper, and it says that we get the word book, B-O-O-K, from the Old English word bok, B-O-C, which meant any type of written document. So first it came from Old English as Bach, but before that, even before Bach, this word came from the German word beech, B-E-E-C-H, because people would write on beechwood tablets. So it's very simple to look up the etymology of any word thanks to the World Wide Web. So if you're curious about the origin of a word or you're just interested, feel free to look that up. It's pretty neat. Etymology is important for me as a teacher because I can teach my students different root words, ESL students, and as they come across new words that they don't know, they can use that prior knowledge to try and understand the new word. This applies to cognates, prefixes, suffixes, lots of different types of words. So the last concept of linguistics I'd like to share with you is phonology, and phonology is so much fun. So phonology is the study of sounds in a language, and a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a language that makes a difference in meaning. So we have phonology and phoneme. So for example, in the word cat, one phoneme, k, is represented in English by two written letters, the K and the C. The words pet and bet both have three phonemes. The only difference between these two words, pet and bet, is one phoneme, the P sound and the B sound. So both of these, as you can see, I've broken them apart into their phonemes. P, it's P, T, B, T. And the only difference is the P and the B sound at the beginning. Phonemes are sounds, but we'll get to the written variations in a second. So phonemes are categorized anatomically by where they occur in our mouths, and this is called the place of articulation. Vowels in particular are categorized as high, mid, or low, and front, central, or back. So let's take the vowel A. When we see this letter, we can tell that it's pronounced in the middle and central portion of our mouths. A. Now say the letter E. E. E is pronounced high and in the front of your mouth. Notice when you say it, your tongue pushes forward. You can do this by saying A and E back to back, and you can really tell the difference of where your tongue is. The place of articulation also determines specifically where we pronounce these sounds. For example, the phoneme B, as in boy, is a bilabial sound because we've used both of our lips to pronounce this B sound. The phoneme is like the word hat. It's a glottal sound because it's pronounced in the back of our throats. The phoneme Y, like in yes, is a palatal sound because your tongue glides across your palate when you say the Y sound. The phoneme F, as in fun, is a labiodental sound because when you pronounce it, you use both the tops of your teeth and your lip to make the sound. F. Those are only a few places of articulation, but phonemes are also categorized by the manner in which we articulate them. Let's take the phoneme M. M is considered a nasal, I gave you the Spanish word, because you close your mouth and air aspirates out of your nostrils. So you say nothing comes out of your mouth, it's all through your nostrils. The phoneme th is called a fricative because we constrict the airflow when we say it, but we don't completely obstruct the airflow. So there are 8 places of articulation and 6 manners of articulation. We're not going to go over all of them because that would be a lot. So now we're going to switch to voiced and voiceless sounds. There are 2 ways in which a phoneme can be pronounced, voiced or voiceless. If a letter is voiced, that means your vocal cords vibrate when you say it. All vowels are voiced, but not all consonants are. To show you what I mean, take your hand and place it under your chin. Say the letter E. E, this is a voice letter, and when you say it, you can feel your vocal cords vibrate. Now, say the letter F. And you can tell that your vocal cords do not vibrate. So F is a voiceless, F is a voiceless sound, and E is a voice sound. And you can say them back to back and really tell the difference. E, F. So that's how we categorize them. And in case you haven't noticed, our phonemes in English vary widely from the actual letters. What I mean by that is that not every letter we have in our language has one sound that corresponds with it. The letter A can be pronounced 6 different ways in English and the dialects that you and I normally use, but this number varies. I'm not sure if any of you have ever heard of the IPA, but it stands for the International Phonemic Alphabet. And this universal alphabet takes phonemes from all the world's languages and assigns one symbol per sound. In other words, the sight-to-sound correspondence for these symbols is 1. No symbol can make more than one sound in the IPA. Let me give you a few examples. In the word pat, the A sound is represented by this symbol. Pat. In the word go, the O sound is represented by this symbol. O. In the word chair, the ch sound is represented by this symbol. In the word sing, the ng sound is represented by this symbol. And so those are all the examples I have right now. But phonemic transcription is a process where you write all the phonemes as they are pronounced using the IPA. So if you wanted to phonemically transcribe a word, it might look something like this for the word happy. Happy. Now that you know a little bit about phonemic transcription, try and transcribe your own words or even sentences. You can do this by Googling an IPA chart. I would show it to you, but it looks backwards. I don't know if you can see that. But yes, you can try it on your own. Find your own IPA chart. It's very simple. And you can just sound that out and figure out what phonemes you want to transcribe. I've really enjoyed talking a little bit about linguistics with you. We barely scratched the surface of linguistics and only covered a few topics. So feel free to do some research more on your own. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.